Hello everyone, it's time for another Batman miniature game battle report. 350 rep of a Brave and the Bold crew versus a new crew to the tables here. It's a, well, formerly it was called the Scarecrow crew, but as of 2nd edition it's just called a Militia crew. It's Arkham Knight as in the video game themed. Also there was the Sora cameo for the day. Hello Sora. Yeah, you doing okay? She's fine. So, new crew to the table, we'll take an in-depth look at them in a second. New layout, but still kind of going with a winter theme. Just imagine this is happening alongside the Court of Owls and Bane fighting nearby. Let's have a look at the lists. So quite a large number of models in the Militia crew, being led by the Arkham Knight himself, who sadly was broken in the bat box I got, such is the way with very thin bits of resin. And then he is backed up by the sidekick of Scarecrow Arkham Knight. This is an interesting one though. If you choose not to bring the Arkham Knight, Scarecrow can also act as a leader, but he's got two profiles. He's got the leader profile trait, and then he's also got the sidekick. Then you've got an assortment of militia people. That's a lieutenant at the front there, then the cybernetic brute at the back. There's a medic, and then I think those guys, those three at the back with the assault rifle, shield, and rocket launcher, are like militia 1, 2, and 3. Similarly named to the Arkham Guards. A lot of guns, a lot of long-range danger. But the Arkham Knight himself is a sniper. They have a lot of long-range output, close range, not so much, low willpower, low endurance. Also, objectives, ammo, medicine, and their unique one that comes in the bad box, a drone. We'll take a look at the rules for the drone in a second here, but let's go over the other crew first. So a couple of new models on the Brave and the Bold side as well. They are being led by Oliver Queen, otherwise known as Green Arrow. He's being backed up by the henchmen, well, Arkham Guard 1 and 2. Not the usual ones, the shotgun guy is not here today. John Diggle as well, otherwise known as the Spartan, and then as a free agent they've got themselves the Red Hood. So this is Green Arrow when he still had a penchant for murder, let's say. So new models to try on this side as well. For objectives, they have taken loot, they have taken contraband, and they have taken Riddler trophies, whatever you want to call them. So from the Militia Bat box, before we get into objective or deployment or anything like that, here is the Militia drone objective. So the way it works is you nominate one person to be the drone controller from the Militia crew. I think, well, we'll see at deployment who that's going to be. Every turn, any unused markers, well, at the end of any turn, any unused markers can be used to add 1 inch to a 4-inch move for the drone. And the way the drone gives points is that, let's see here, non-KO'd enemies within 4 inches of the marker drone are target painted. When attacking a target painted enemy, models receive +1 to hit. If any of the hit rolls are successful, so they result in a wound, the owner of this marker gains 1 bonus victory point. It isn't affected by strategies, not that we use strategies here anyway. So presumably that's a maximum of 1 per turn, but you can't shoot it down or anything like that, so you just have to keep it flying nearby the enemy crew. So we've rolled up for a mission and we're going to be doing scenario 3 again, which is patrol. We're also just showing that the lieutenant for the militia is going to be the drone controller because it seems like a task befitting his rank. So he is going to be the one controlling it. I believe if he goes down, then obviously you can't give the drone any bonus counters, so it only has a 4-inch movement range per turn, so it would be easy to outpace it. So any patrol is you just follow the normal objectives for placing down the objective markers. Deployment zones on the opposing corners for each crew. 3 victory points to any player who has one of their models in the opponent's deployment zone by the end of the game that isn't the boss, which is something we forgot last time we did this mission, I think. They're not allowed to be knocked out either, otherwise it doesn't count. And also just noise, 1 victory point to the first player to strike an enemy model, so the hit has to land. You can't just take a hit, the hit has to land. Whether or not it has to cause a wound, it doesn't specifically say that, it just says a strike has to punch somebody, so we'll count it as that. So we'll sort out where objectives are going, where lampposts and sewers are going, where the crews are setting up, and then we will be back at deployment. So here we are with everything deployed and set up. We used the diagonal down here, and then over there. Brave and the Bold here, Militia over that side. And we'll just do a pan round of the battlefield, I guess. We've got a lamppost, a sewer, and the drone. It has to start up to 12 inches away from an enemy model, but other than that it doesn't have any other rules. And its goal is to get near them, so that's why. Got a lamppost and a sewer grating in the Brave and the Bold's deployment. John Diggle's on the side there. There's a sewer grating on this building up here. And over here we've got another lamppost, another sewer amongst this kind of rubble here. Next to the Batmobile we've got the medicine for the militia side. the loot and riddle trophies for the Brave and the Bold. There's the contraband for the Brave and the Bold, and there's the ammo and another sewer grating and a lamppost over there. Up here, sewer grating on this building, lamp on this building, and most of the snipers plus a rocket launcher. Is that one of Sora's hairs on that poor model? It is. There, it's gone now. So they're going to be hoping to just have a good sniping position from that roof there. Come around here, the cybernetic brute is being bodyguarded by the medic, or vice versa. Then over here we've got the lieutenant, the shield trooper, and Scarecrow himself going up that side. That's why the riddle trophies were put on this side, because Scarecrow has scientific, is it? The rule that just makes him automatically pass those. So, let's come back over here again now. Panning shot. To see who's going to get first activation on the first turn. Green for Green Arrow, pink for Militia. They are the pink Militia. And the person getting first activation will indeed be the Militia. A lot of models on the Militia side, 8 versus 5, so the Brave and the Bold have 3 passes. They can't use all in a row though. Tied for most miniatures ever, I think, because the Joker Bat Box is 8 miniatures as well. Might end up doing like quick cuts of a few activations in a row as a result, otherwise we'll be here forever. But let's move on to Battle Round 1, starting with the Militia. So for the first activation of Battle Round 1, we come over here to the carbine using Militia member, he had to deploy back there. He hopped forwards and he attacked with 2 attack dice, just using his fists to take out the lamppost, because you only need 2 pluses to smack it. So that lamppost is destroyed, plunging them into darkness. That means they won't get picked off from any distance. They'll obey the normal range for weapon, or line of sight rather, or distance to sight, whatever you want to call it. Either way, he then crouched down behind that little placard thing there as well. The Brave and the Bold are going to use 1 pass next, maybe even 2, so jumping right back over to the Militia. So for the next 2 activations, the Militia activated Arkham Knight and the rocket launcher using Militia Man, 1, 2 or 3, whichever he is, just securing themselves on that building up there. They moved forwards to have a commanding line of sight. They can't see past this building here, which is why the Brave and the Bold are happy passing right now, but they have comfortable line of sights of both sides of the streets. They also both used a special to crouch to impart ping rolls should they require them. Not allowed to pass 3 times in a row, so the Brave and the Bold has to activate next. So for the first activation for the Brave and the Bold, Green Arrow activated and decided to take the sewer grating up onto the roof here, and that created a little bit of a rules query. He's here, the other building filled with guns is over there obviously. Green Arrow has stealth, which means he's only visible from 8 inches away. However, the Arkham Knight's gun has a scope, and the scope just says it can see a target at any distance. So which rule takes precedence in that situation if, for instance, Arkham Knight gets to shoot first next turn? Scopes also mean that he ignores ping rolls, so the Arkham Knight is a pretty good sniper. But can he see any distance? Can the scope see Green Arrow? Or because Green Arrow has stealth, does stealth trump a scope? I don't know. Honestly don't know. It's going to come up next battle round. We're going to have to just end up rolling for it and seeing which way it goes for now. Genuinely don't know which rule takes precedence here. So it's the first time we've had a situation like that. But either way, he can't move or anything because he took the sewer grating. So they're going to pass again after the Militia's next move. So we'll be back for a recap of 2 Militia members in a second. So because of throwing that last pass in there, got a couple of the Militia, as we said, who activated. The Lieutenant moved up ever so slightly. He has 3 unused counters on his card, which means 3 inches of extra movement for the drone at the end of the battle round. After him, Scarecrow activated and got in touch with the Brave and the Bold contraband objective, which does not need to be the owning player to own, double checked that time. It doesn't give anything until the end of the battle round either, so that'll be 2 things to recap after everybody's gone. The Brave and the Bold have to activate next. 2 activations next. John Diggle, otherwise known as Spartan, moved up around here and crouched behind this red Corvette, whatever it is, out of range of a lamp so he's not illuminated, and crouching behind this should he get shot at next turn. He's kind of beelining for the objectives over here. So the Militia activated after that, and the Cybernetic Brute charged around the corner here, had to use the only movement counter he's allowed to get to finish the move in contact with the Riddler trophy. He has nothing left to actually manipulate it, so that's going to do nothing this turn, unless the medic can get round the corner. Two more activations to cover here. Red Hood activated next, and he is fast. He started down here by the sewer grating. He used a movement and a special for his back claw, so that's 8 movement on top of his standard, which took him to the corner here. He then had 3 movement counters left over, so he has made... Oh, as I knock over a wall here, my bad. Sorry, John. Hit you with a car there. He moved up ever so slightly. He didn't move all the distance because he didn't want to be seen around the corner there, up at that corner up there. But he's made some distance. After that, the medic for the militia activated, basically just, again, sticking to the cybernetic brute because he can heal him if he gets hurt. Did not have enough movement to make it to the Riddler counter. So now we're back to the Brave and the Bold. They've just got the 2 Arkham guards to go. And then for Scarecrow, he's just got the shield militia member to go as well. Right, covering the last activations of Battle Round 1, the Arkham guards have moved, as you see. So the one with the assault rifle is moving up here to kind of provide covering fire and to stop it being easy to get up this side of the field. The Arkham guard with the baton has simply moved in the same direction as the Red Hood, but he's much slower. And for the militia, the shield guy is kind of acting as Scarecrow's bodyguard, so he simply just followed up next to him as well. So that takes us to the end of Battle Round 1, where things now have to happen. The drone objective for the militia has to move, and also we have to see what the result of the contraband is going to be before we add up points. So we'll be back with that in a second. So at the end of Battle Round 1, the drone could move 4 plus an extra 3 inches because of unused movement counters on the, well, counters of any type on the lieutenant. So it has hovered over to the Arkham guard with the assault rifle. He is now lit up, so if he is hit in the next turn, that will impart 1 victory point. The other thing, the contraband, got the It's Payday Boys result, which is 2 victory points for the militia side, and also any model in base contact, which is just Scarecrow, gets +1 willpower this next turn. So he's going to have +1 willpower to distribute amongst one of his stats. That also means that it's 2-0 lead as we lead Battle Round 1 because no other victory points were awarded. It's going to get very bloody very fast, this one though, because we have a lot of guns in play. Speaking of which, for Battle Round 2, let's see who is going to be going first. It is going to be... Ooh, it's going to be the militia again. Let's see what happens. So for the first activation of Battle Round 2, the Arkham Knight shot at Green Arrow. I'm going to talk through why we decided the scope trumps stealth. Stealth specifically says it does not overwrite rules that aid in vision, like sense of smell, or detection rather, like sense of smell, stuff like that. It doesn't specifically list scope, but a scope aids vision, so we're going to count it as scope does beat stealth. Whether that's wrong or not, who knows. It doesn't particularly matter for this round though. Arkham Knight fired 2 shots, 4+ to wound Green Arrow, got a 3 and a 2. So it didn't even get to the 2+ wound rolls. You're also not allowed to take ping rolls because he's got a scope, but you are, if you're an acrobat, you can do the dodge range attack, so Green Arrow had that ready. So it didn't matter this round, because no damage was dealt in any form, but it might still matter in the future. So in retaliation, Green Arrow activated next, and he moved into cover there. He can spend a special to still be allowed to fire a weapon with the aim special rule even if he moves, so he did. He can also spend a special per turn to up his rate of fire by 1. So although he fired a single shot arrow, he was allowed to fire twice because of using that second special. He shot 2 arrows across the bow into the rocket launcher using Militia Soldier. He was allowed pings because he's still crouched from last turn and he's behind a little bit of scenery anyway. So one shot missed and just did the graze damage for a stun, the other one hit for 2 blood. I think he only has 4 endurance. Actually, if we just pan back here a second, where's his card? Yeah, he only has 4 endurance, so he's got 1 HP left, and now we'll move on to the militia turn. So down in the streets we have a few militia activations to cover here. First of all, the shield op activated and moved up quite far on the far side of the ammo, holding it, that's their ammo. Brave and the Bold used a pass, so Scarecrow moved up behind him as well to help secure that ammo. Second pass was used, so the Lieutenant moved to control the contraband and again has 3 spare counters to give his drone. Brave and the Bold has to activate something else now. John Diggle activated next for the Brave and the Bold. I'm going to say his name in full every time because it's fantastic. He moved up into cover against the corner here. His taser has reach, so he doesn't need to be point blank to hit something, he can be 2 inches away. So he shot his taser at the lamppost, shocked it, blasted it out, and the lamp is gone. That's to help them kind of approach more safely from that side. He then crouched, so I think he's already getting a ping roll anyway from being obscured, but helping guarantee it. A couple more activations for the militia. First, the carbine using militia member moved up over here. He moved and shot at Red Hood. Then the final pass was used, so the rocket launcher guy, who's heavily wounded, shuffled along, shot one of his 2 rockets at Red Hood. The rocket whiffed spectacularly, the carbine managed to get a hit in despite the bulletproof vest that Red Hood has as well, but only does 1 bullet per bit of damage that gets through, so Red Hood takes 1 blood damage. Now the Brave and the Bold have to activate someone. Let's see what happens. The Arkham Guard with the assault rifle shot next. He shot at the shield using militia member. The shield imparts a ping roll on top of a normal ping roll if they were inclined to have one. Wasn't able to penetrate the ping rolls, the shield protected him, so no damage was done, and he has 1 last shot with that assault rifle left. Unfortunately, he's also still lit up by the drone because he opted not to move. So another recap of a couple of turns here. The cybernetic augmented militia member activated and charged forward to in order to claim the medical objective for themselves. It is theirs, so they are claiming it. You'll notice he has some damage on him because Red Hood from over here unloaded his dual pistols into him for 2 stun, 2 blood. I think he has 7 or 8, 7 endurance, so just below half. He then moved and is taking the loot. It's just there again to show it will be on his card now. He doesn't fear the medic and he thinks the cybernetic soldier isn't long for this world. He is next to a lamppost, but he might also be close enough that the people up here would have to come forwards to see him, therefore reducing the rate of fire. So it's a risk, but hopefully it'll pay off. So for the final 2 activations of Battle Round 2, the medic opted not to go heal the cybernetic soldier or to attempt to attack Red Hood. Instead opted to take the riddle out of play. Got a 3 on the result, which means it's solved but gives nothing. Didn't take any damage or anything like that, but the chance to score anything from that riddle objective is gone. The final activation was the Brave and the Bold Baton Arkham Guard, who's just kind of following in Red Hood's footsteps, again slower, but still heading in that direction to kind of back up this side of the field. So with that, we'll be back for the recap. So at the end of Battle Round 2, the drone is shifted slightly. It's going over to where more of the Brave and the Bold crew are. As far as victory points, the Brave and the Bold have 1 for the loot, and that is it. The militia get 3 for the medical, 3 for the ammo. The random roll on the contraband was the shiny result, which is 1 victory point with nothing special imparted. They also didn't solve the riddle. The 2 militia members who have stun on them did not recover any stun. So that's as things stand. Statistically, it's likely that the Brave and the Bold will be getting first turn in Battle Round 3. Not necessarily true though, let's see. It is the Brave and the Bold getting first activation in Battle Round 3. So at the top of Battle Round 3, you might be surprised, but it was Red Hood who opted to activate first. Now the Brave and the Bold get first activation for a change. He was hoping to take out the cybernetic brute. He shot into him, did much worse this time. He also has 1 shot left in the game. Only did 1 blood and 1 stun, but coupled with the damage the cybernetic brute had already, that puts him 1 hit away from either unconsciousness or death. So he is still very badly hurt. As I remove one of Sora's hairs I saw dangling off the table, they're still everywhere. He then opted to move afterwards. He went to the riddle, manipulated the riddle, did remember to spend the extra movement counter because he's holding the loot, incidentally, did not forget. He got a 6. Inspired solution, that is 4 victory points to the Brave and the Bold. Much needed to help cover the gap between the 2 squads. Now it is the militia's turn to activate. So for the militia's first activation, they activated the carbine using assault rifle mercenary, and he shot down here. It's a bit hard to get the angle, but he could see him, and he took his shots, standing still shots, at the baton using Arkham Guard. Did 3 blood, 1 stun, and a knockdown. He's not dead, he's not knocked out, he is knocked down. You think he has 2 endurance left, so he's living, but he's in a spot of bother. For the Brave and the Bold, John Diggle activated next. He was standing here. He has crept around here with his full movement. Then with 1 bullet, because he moved, he shot at the cybernetic brute. Only did 1 blood, 1 stun because 1 hit landed. That does take him to knocked out status, but only a total of 5 blood. So he isn't dead, but he is knocked out. So the cybernetic man is down. The medic can revive him, I think. You might see that in a second. But either way, that's points imparted for knocking out. He is just a henchman, I think. He's not a free agent. So not many victory points, but still. He's also no longer claiming the medical. His body is in the way as well, and because he's not dead, we're counting that body as being there. So the medic won't be able to claim past him right now anyway. So let's move on to the Brave and the Bolds, the militia rather, and their next activation. So for the militia, the rocket launcher wielding mercenary chose to spotted a mistake for the previous turn. The rocket launcher has aim, so therefore he should not have been able to move into position and shoot last turn. Can't remember now if it was the carbine or the rocket launcher that managed to get the 1 blood through on Red Hood. I'm pretty sure it was the carbine. Yeah, it must have been, because the rocket launcher is 3 blood. So it wouldn't have mattered, but he's not allowed to move and fire it because he doesn't have Master Marksman like Green Arrow does. But this turn he stayed still, shot the rocket first at John Diggle. He missed, and that was his last rocket. He does not have it because he's wounded. He does not have enough counters to get off the roof this turn via the sewer grating. So he spent a special to crouch and is stuck up there with no ammunition now. So he's essentially harmless, more or less. Well, he's a walking victory point, or 2 victory points, I guess, if he dies. But other than that, he is down and out, and now it's back to the Brave and the Bold. The next activation for the Brave and the Bold, the baton-wielding Arkham Guard stood up and then moved. He didn't have enough movement to get to the cybernetic brute to arrest him, to remove him as a casualty, unfortunately. So he settled for basically just getting into contact with the medicine there to counter-claim it. He can't get any victory points from it, but he can at least contest it, I believe. So that's what he's doing. He didn't have anything in attack either, so he couldn't like coup de grace or anything like that. Covering the activations of both the crew leaders now. Arkham Knight, stubborn as he is, activated, shot at Green Arrow, didn't land any hits, rolled very poorly for his hit rolls. Green Arrow decided not to aim for Arkham Knight and instead shot at the carbine using Mercenary. Only got 1 hit through, but a 6 on the collateral, so 2 blood, 1 stun. He has 4 endurance as well, so much like his rocket launcher pal next to him, he's only got 1 HP left. Oliver only can fire, well, that 1 plus the special spent to make it rate of fire 2 1 more time, and then after that he has a single use multi-shot, and then he has no arrows left. So there is that to consider. Back over to the mercenary side now. They've still got Scarecrow and his bunch of goons over here to move, whereas the Brave and the Bold still just have just the Arkham Guard, I think? Do those numbers add up? I feel like we're missing someone. Might go back and watch the footage real quick. Anyway, still the militia's turn next for sure. Covering the last activations of this battle round, we were thrown off because forgot the Brave and the Bold got the first activation this turn and have been wanting not to use their passes, and there's a 3 model difference, so that's why the militia had so many people left that could go uninterrupted at the end of the battle round. So anyway, the shield using mercenary charged forwards, and then it was the Brave and the Bold activation. They only had the Arkham Guard with the not the shotgun, the assault rifle. Shot into him. The shield helped negate 1 additional blow, but 1 got through, so there was 3 blood damage and a knockdown. He's not knocked out, not killed, but knocked down. Scarecrow and the Lieutenant just want to hold their objectives for victory points, so they didn't move. Over here, the medic moved over. He can heal either 1 blood or 2 stun. He healed 2 stun in order to bring the cybernetic brute back from being unconscious. The medic rule specifically states, though, if you do that, they don't get an activation this turn and they have no generated counters. So the cybernetic brute can get up next turn, but couldn't do anything this turn. And with that, we'll be back with the recap for Battle Round 3. So as things stand at the end of Battle Round 3, 2 knocked over militia members will need to stand up next turn, lest they get hit very easily. In terms of victory points, Brave and the Bold carried the loot for 1, they got the inspired solution on the riddle for 4, but that's it. The medical is not currently being claimed, so for the militia they have the ammo down here in the street for 3, the contraband was a 3 on the table again, which was it's kind of shiny, for 1 more victory point. So I believe the militia are still pulling ahead by 2 or 3 victory points. I think that's it. Oh, and as far as recoveries go, the carbine using militia member healed a stun. Hang on, did he? No, the cybernetic brute healed a stun, and the Arkham Guard who had a stun had that healed as well, and that's all. Let's see who's getting first activation in turn 4. In turn 4, it is the Brave and the Bold getting first activation. Battle round 4 began with John Diggle shooting his last magazine at the cybernetic brute on the floor. He did 2 blood, 2 stun, which brings the total blood accumulated on the cybernetic brute to 6, and he has 7 endurance. So he is back to being knocked out, but he is not dead, as things stand. Medic still might get a chance to bring him back up, although that might be a waste because he doesn't get an activation this turn, but we'll see. Anyway, moving on to the mercs. Scarecrow and Arkham Knight in general opted to activate the shield-using Merc next. He stood up at the cost of 1 movement counter and then charged the assault rifle wielding Arkham Guard, who's out of ammo anyway. Smacked him upside the head with his baton and did 2 stun. That's his first bit of damage though, so he's still on his feet. He's got 3 endurance left. Also, this is a little point of notice in terms of like the Raise the Plan phase being off. All 3 people up here have no shots left. The Arkham Knight has electrical smoke grenades, but they're short range. So they're going to argue over who takes the sewer, essentially. But we're back over now to the Brave and the Bold. The baton-wielding Arkham Guard moved in next. He moved next to the Cybernetic Brute and he arrested him. For the purposes of victory points, that counts him as a casualty. Where did he get handcuffs big enough for such a large man? Either way, that's the Cybernetic Brute removed for the rest of the game. The Medic Mercenary for the Arkham Knight activated next, moved in with his surgical knife and said, I'm going to cut you. So he did. He only got 1 blood through, but he also did get a knockdown, not a knockout. So because he's knocked down, I don't remember if that means he's contesting that objective. That might be relevant by the end of the turn. I guess we'll see once we get there. Oliver Queen activated next, and he used his 1 per game multi-shot arrow and also a special to up its rate of fire by 1, so 4 shots. This was his attempt at a kill shot on the Arkham Knight. The Arkham Knight is acrobatic as well though, so he had movement counters ready. He managed to do very well with his dodging. In the end, only 1 arrow landed for 2 blood, so he's pretty healthy still, but at least some blood has been drawn. Let's see how the militia react. So the first person to get off of that roof where everybody's ran out of all their ammo was the missile launcher mercenary who has taken the Surgring right into the deployment zone of the Brave and the Bold. He's very close to death, so this is his way of trying to be useful, because if he is able to survive there, he will get 3 bonus victory points at the end of the game. And the closest person who could do anything about it is right there and is stuck in combat currently. Just remember, did we move the drone on the end of that last turn? I don't think we did. Too late now. Don't think we did though, totally forgot. Not used to objectives moving. Red Hood activated next and opted to use his back claw to get up this building here. Only now have we realised the temporal issues with having Red Hood on one side and Arkham Knight on the other, but I guess. Anyway, we count him as being base to base because they're on either side of a very tiny wall. He only had 2 attacks, so 1 landed for 2 stun, which knocked out the carbine using militia member because he was already heavily wounded. He then spent 1 special to use takedown, which just means he is an instant casualty. So that means this turn the Brave and the Bold have made 2 casualties of henchmen. Said that the wrong way round. Made 2 henchmen casualties. There we go. With no ammo remaining, the Arkham Knight activated next and charged his doppelganger. Got into combat with the Red Hood. Only did 1 stun. He doesn't even have reinforced gloves. He has martial artists, but not reinforced gloves, which is a little strange for someone trained in the way they are. Either way, 1 stun on Red Hood and a knockdown. Hindsight should definitely have done a push, which I don't think we've ever done in any of these reports. No, we haven't. Because he doesn't have a back cape and therefore would definitely have been hurt. Too late to turn back time now, so it wouldn't be fair to do so, but pushing would definitely have been the smarter thing to do there. There's always next time. Just some quick coverage here of the last activations of the turn. Next in line was the assault rifle wielding Arkham Guard who had no ammo left. He struck at the shield using militia member and did nothing, so they're kind of just still stuck there. Technically he could have moved, but he's still going to have to face a double problem regardless. And as for the militia's final people, the lieutenant wanted to stay still, as did Scarecrow, just to secure those points, because this is going to come down to a quite close point situation. So that's it in terms of activations. Now is just the recap phase. At the end of battle round 4, the rocket launcher Merc got 1 stun removed, as did the Red Hood, so he's still just back to 1 blood damage. In terms of victory points, Brave and the Bold have the loot. They made 2 henchmen casualties, so that's 1 point each for being knocked out, and then 1 point each again for being casualties. And I think that's it. Check the rules, only knocked out models can't contest, so a knockdown model can, it seems like. So the medicine for the militia is contested. The ammo that Scarecrow has been sitting on the entire game gave 3 victory points. Contraband got a 1 on the table, which means it is trapped, and the lieutenant there took 1 blood. Did remember to move the drone this time as well, because this could be a victory point waiting to happen as long as the shield Merc lands a single hit in battle round 5. So let's see who is getting first turn in battle round 5. Brave and the Bold, which means that the Militia is guaranteed the final activation in the final turn. We'll be back with the start of Battle Round 5. So to start the penultimate turn, Red Hood activated so he could stand up and move to safety. He then struck at the Arkham Knight, however he didn't manage to land any hits unfortunately, so that combat is ongoing rather, as we get into the second last turn of the game. The Medic activated next for the Militia, trying to finish where he started by cutting up the Arkham Guard on the floor there, who's not knocked out, he's just knocked down. Sadly was not able to do any damage. Oliver moved up to the edge of the building he was on and shot his last arrow with rate of fire 2 because he spent a special at the Arkham Knight, presuming you're still allowed to use the dodging range attacks by using movement counters even if you're in close combat. We did that and it does matter because the Arkham Knight successfully backflipped out the way of one shot, or one arrow. One arrow found its mark again though, plus a bonus stun from the collateral die result for 2 blood 1 stun, which I think puts the Arkham Knight on 5 accumulated damage of both types, so he has 2 endurance left. Couple of henchman related activations next. The shield Militia member activated, tried to strike the Arkham Guard and missed, so the drone being there did not impart a victory point this turn because no hits landed. In return, as I knock over a lamppost, the Arkham Guard activated, landed 2 hits. He doesn't have gloves or anything, so they only do 1 stun each for a total of 2 stun. However, that was enough to knock out the shield up because he already had 3 blood on him from when he got shot earlier in the game. So he's knocked out. He did not have a special assigned. Let me just double check that. No, didn't have a special assigned, so can't arrest him this turn. Could on the next turn though. So that is that. Now it's down to the next Militia activation, and then John Diggle is the last one for the Brave and the Bold, and then 2 more Militia after that. Here's a recap of the final activations. Did also forget 1 Brave and the Bold. The other Arkham Guard wasn't knocked out, he was just knocked down, so he was able to stand up and do something. The Rocket Launcher Merc opted just to move away. He is still in the Brave and the Bold's deployment, but he is far enough away that the Arkham Guard with no ammunition is not going to reach him, so he's guaranteeing the 3 victory points when the game is over, essentially, by moving there. Over here, the Arkham Guard, who was not in fact knocked out, stood up, tried to hit the medic, missed, and then moved just out of the way so John Diggle could charge in with his taser and did 6 stun. The medic had been at full health, but he only has 4 or 5 endurance, so he is knocked out. He might wake up at the end of the turn, we'll see. Speaking of which, final 2 activations was the Lieutenant and Scarecrow. They are just simply sitting on their objectives to try and claim victory points, so now we move on to the wrap up for the penultimate turn. At the end of Battle Round 5, in terms of recoveries, the Arkham Knight recovered a stun, the Assault Rifle Arkham Guard recovered a stun, the 2 Militia that are knocked out stayed knocked out, so that's them done for the rest of the game. They're not going to get another activation. In terms of victory points, 2 more henchmen were made were knocked out for 1 victory point each, plus the loot, so the Brave and the Bold got 3 victory points this turn. The Militia held the ammo for 3, the medicine is not theirs. The Contraband got a 6 result, which is the best result, which was like a "we're rich boys," which was an additional 3 victory points, which might make all the difference. So now we're moving into the final turn of the final battle round of the game. We know for a fact the Militia get first activation. Let's see how things play out. So we begin the last phase with activation of the Arkham Knight, who sadly was unable to do anything to the Red Hood. He opted just to stay still now. There's only a very few things that are going to matter to the final score here. In terms of the Militia, they're mostly in place where they want to be. The rocket launcher one down there, Scarecrow and the Lieutenant, that's basically all that matters. Nothing can get to them, presumably. What matters is what the Red Hood does and what Green Arrow does, and one of those 2 are going to be activating next. So over this end of the table, the Red Hood activated. He smacked the Arkham Knight for 2 stun and a knockdown. The Arkham Knight has 1 endurance left though, so they couldn't even make him knocked out, unfortunately. But he then did retreat to the edge of the building here, which is in the deployment zone for the Militia, as you know, because 3 of them started up there at the start of the match. So he is also not a leader or a sidekick, he's a free agent, so I believe he still captures those bonus victory points unless it says henchman only. As far as quick activations next, the rocket launcher Merc obviously stood still. The assault rifle guard arrested the shield person, making him a casualty for a bonus point. The Lieutenant activated Contraband, he's just standing still, ducking behind it. The baton-wielding Arkham Guard arrested the medic, who was unconscious, so that's another bonus point because they're counted as casualties. Scarecrow activated, sitting next to the ammo for those 3 victory points. John Diggle was just going to stay there. He has no ammo left. There's literally nothing he can do to generate more points. All that matters now is the final turn with Green Arrow. So as you'll notice, Green Arrow has vanished. He has a grapple as well, so he grappled down to Scarecrow. Forgot to mention at the top of the battle report, with the 50 funding left over, because if you have a lot of guns and the Red Hood, a lot of your funding is already gone. Bought the reinforced gloves upgrade for Oliver, so each punch was doing 2 stun. Doesn't matter though, because only 1 punch got through. So Scarecrow is very much alive. What does matter though is that with that extra distance, thanks to the grapple just to get off the building, he's contesting the ammo. So as the game ends, it's giving no victory points. Let's wrap up the final turn. So as things come to a close here, and what ended up being a really fun battle report, pretty close as well, the points gained in the final phase for the Brave and the Bold, they made 2 casualties via arrests of 2 more henchmen for 1 victory point each. They still held the loot for another victory point. They got 3 bonus objective victory points for being in the enemy deployment with the Red Hood. It does count. It was just the boss or knocked out model that doesn't count. And that was it. For the Militia, the ammo was contested, so that didn't give anything. Got I think it was a 3 on the contraband result for 2 victory points, and 3 victory points for being in the Brave and the Bold's deployment. Now the other victory point on offer was 1 victory point and quote to the first person to land a strike. Now whether a strike is a ranged attack strike or a punch, when we did this in Tabletop Simulator we counted a strike as being a physical blow. We think the first physical blow struck was something down here. It was maybe even like the Arkham Guard smacking the knocked over cybernetic soldier. And we think the first wound from bullets was the Red Hood shooting the cybernetic soldier. So either way, the Brave and the Bold get the point, we think. Apologies if that is not the case. So all said and done, even though it might not feel like it, the Militia have won today, largely thanks to getting that ammo box uncontested for so long, and some lucky results on the contraband that just kept on giving out points as well. Going up the right flank just because of the drone being in the way was probably a mistake on the Brave and the Bold's part, but 27 plays 21 in the end. If it was going until the finish, one team getting wiped out, I think the Brave and the Bold would have taken it, even though all the ammo on the field is largely done. In terms of better positioning, given how few shots the Militia have, putting so many of them on that sniping point was probably a mistake. Not that it matters, because their side won in the end. Things would have swung a bit differently if the Arkham Knight had gone down. Like that, he would have given up 4. Still wouldn't have been quite enough. But yeah, I think the mistake here was the Brave and the Bold not choosing to go up the left street, and instead going after like the riddles and whatnot on this side. The contraband was there, so they should have tried to get a hold of it. Although maybe taking the contraband in general was not the best choice for an objective type. But either way, that was a very fun matchup. I hope you enjoyed watching. We'll be back again with some other team going up against the Militia again, most likely. It's because they have a new crew here. Let me know what crews you would like to see in the future though, and I'll see you next time. Ta-ta for now.